Get ready for an awesome adventure at the Pabst Brewery in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. My wife and I recently stayed a night at the Brewhouse Inn Suites, and let me tell you, it was fascinating. What's incredible is that we have, for 3 years, lived just a mile away and really never ventured upon what was going on over there. We've walked through the Pabst area, as you see here. Check out the green dot, by the way. That's where this is being filmed. And you can see how beautiful these buildings are. Now, just a reminder, we have 2 other Pabst-related videos. One is of the Frederick Pabst Mansion on Wisconsin Avenue in Milwaukee. It is beautiful. It is still going and just awesome. The other one is we took a tour of the Pabst Brewery site, which you're seeing now, but it was the brewery tour, which was also fascinating. So if you want to check out Wisconsin Places Are Cool YouTube channel, Pabst Mansion tour, as well as the Pabst Brewery tour. So this is going to be the Brewhouse Inn Suites tour, and we'll give you some ideas as to what's happening. First, I want to give you some background on Pabst Brewery. So 1848, Jacob Best establishes his brewery with capacity of only 18 barrels per batch. In its first year, Best's brewery produces 300 barrels. By the way, the view that you were looking at is from our hotel room, and you can see it's really cool, much better in person, I may add. But as this video runs, we're going to take you through the former brew house. And let me go back, actually. I'm going to give you a brew house statistics here. So as you enter, you will see a hallway leading to Jackson's Blue Ribbon Pub and the grand staircase on your left. We will see that in a little bit. The entrance staircase is not original. The original one was fieldstone. The current one was put in during the tail end of Prohibition when Pabst underwent a major update and overhaul. So here you saw kind of the inside earlier of the brew house itself. You saw those 6 kettles that were original to this brew house and are still there, which is pretty amazing. This is kind of the back stairwell. I'm just fascinated by Cream City brick, old Cream City brick, and so I wanted to show you some of the back corridors here. So when you go in past the staircase and through the double doors, you should look up. You can see the inside of one of our historic copper kettles, and that is coming up later in this video. The original kettles came to about a foot off the floor. So those are the kettles on the second floor, and then below these, they continue down to what would be the lobby or the first floor, and again, they stopped about a foot above the floor level. So this was so intriguing, and I know I took a lot of video, but I was absolutely floored by this. So was my wife, and so we thought this would be worth some good video action here. So to the right of the kettles, when you walk in the lobby, is the Blue Room. And we'll see that in a little bit. In fact, I've labeled it. That room was the Pabst employee break room. There was Pabst flowing in here 24/7, and the Milwaukee police officers would come in after their shift. So the employees named the room after the Milwaukee Police Department, the Blue Room. The front desk, by the way, that we'll see. Oh, there's an old picture of the brew house. As we go back in, we'll later see a picture of a video of the front desk. It is made from over 1,500 beer bottles, so we'll see that in a little bit. So right now, we climbed out of the brew house and just wanted to take a little scenic tour of the grounds. So let me get back to some of the history of Pabst. So 1848 was the first year that we talked about with Jacob Best. Now the 1850s, Philip Best takes over. Daughter Maria marries Captain Frederick Pabst in 1859. Pabst sells his shipping interests and takes a partnership in the brewery, in the Best Brewery, in 1863. 1872, the output is 100,000 barrels. Captain Pabst is president of the company. Best Brewing Company becomes the second largest brewery in the United States. That is 1872. The 1880s, Best Select Brand receives awards at world and U.S. competitions. In 1882, Pabst adds pieces of blue ribbons around the necks of the Best Select beer bottles. In 1889, Pabst changes the name of the company to Pabst Brewing Company. All right, so 1895, Blue Ribbon officially added to Best Select brand name, and in 1899, the company sells 100 million barrels, officially changes brand name to Pabst Blue Ribbon, and adds red stripe to the label. And here you can see the outer grounds. Now, on the right, one of the original brewery buildings. On the left, that was obviously a newer building. This is kind of fascinating. And this is the building that you would enter to take the Pabst Brewery tour. They have a really cool area in which to, there you go, in which to drink beer. I believe that was Frederick Pabst's office window. And again, I'm trying to recall from our tour that we took about a year ago. And just some neat little things that you can see, some novelties there. All right, so we'll get back to it. 1919 to 1930s, so we're talking post-World War I and through the Roaring 20s. Pabst's cheese-making business thrived. By 1930, over 8 million pounds of Pabst Et brand had been sold. Kraft eventually buys out the Pabst cheese operations. And you know what? I never knew that. 1934, Pabst opens new brewery in Peoria, Illinois, and introduces packaged beer in cans 1 year later. So that's mid-1930s, which would be the Great Depression. So that's pretty interesting. In the 1940s and 50s, Pabst purchases Hoffman Beverage Company in Newark in 1946 and Los Angeles Brewing Company in 1948. So you saw a lot of these, I guess you'd call it horizontal integrations of companies where in order to continue to compete at this time, we're just, getting through the industrial era, getting out of World War II, and companies are now, in order to grow, buying competitive companies that are in their same industry. This is neat too. On the right, they just put in a new grocery store. They've got new apartments. And then here on the left, you see they have the On Tap restaurant and bar. And I'm going to give you a few interior pics of it. Yeah, look at that old staircase. Pretty cool. Actually, very good food in there as well. I had a salad. I will admit that, but but it was good. So that is all connected. So the On Tap restaurant connects you to, I wish I could have gone up the staircase, connects you to the actual brew house where we stayed as the hotel. All right, so back to it. Pabst purchases Hoffman Beverage Company in Newark. We talked about that. Let's fast forward. But after Fred Pabst's retirement, so 1950, sales started to slip. Lowering prices worked in the short term to stay profitable. Pabst Blue Ribbon, known as the premium beer, at a popular price. So that is how they marketed it. Oh, there is the underside of one of the kettles, by the way. And again, those went all the way to this lobby floor, and those are the 1,500 beer bottles that they used to help make the lobby desk. Pretty cool. That, by the way, those were actual floorboards. They turned it into a wall. Have the cool B for Best Brewery. Kind of cool.
Good-looking guy in there.
Yeah, and there's a good shot of it. And I'll just get some more interior shots. I was so geeked out about all of this. And, my wife thought it was pretty funny, but I just kept snapping pictures, video. There's a lot of stuff I didn't include. There's an old picture before it was renovated. And there we are just hanging out by the kettles. All right, back to history. 1950s to the 1980s. Sales grow from 3.9 million barrels in 1958 to 18 million barrels in 1977. Debt-free balance sheet appeals to corporate raiders. Irwin Jacobs, the liquidator, seeks to acquire Pabst. $11 million in legal fees incurred to fight battle. In 1984, the board sells to Paul Kalmanowitz, the benefactor of the charitable trust that will own the company for over 25 years. Let's see. And I know there were some squabbles and issues. What was going to happen to the Pabst Brewery campus? So luckily, benefactors came in and actually acquired this. I believe the gentleman who owned it ended up passing away, and his wife didn't want it, and so she sold it. And luckily, many of these buildings were renovated. By the way, if you understand the area, Pabst went from, I believe, about 11th Street all the way east to the Milwaukee River. So it was absolutely huge. It certainly doesn't do that anymore. It maybe spans a couple of blocks, but there's enough of it left to really appreciate it. So in 1999, Pabst Brewing Company acquires Detroit-based Stroh Brewing Company. Its portfolio includes national beer brands Schlitz, Old Milwaukee, Schaefer, Colt 45, and regional favorites, such as Old Style. 2007, Pabst reintroduces Schlitz's premium Gusto formula, one of the top-selling beers worldwide in the 1960s. And, unfortunately, Pabst, I think it technically went bankrupt. I believe the pension was raided, and it shut down. And luckily, it is back in a limited amount, actually, and I don't even know if it's brewed here in Milwaukee. I thought the gentleman who led the tour of the Pabst Brewery said it may be actually down in Texas where they're producing it. But at any rate, the brand is still alive and going. And in the meantime, if you are in Milwaukee and want to check this out, I highly recommend the Pabst Brewery tour. It took about an hour. You get a drink with it, and it's pretty cool. Great place to stay would be this Brewhouse Inn Suites. Eat it on tap, and there's just so many cool things to do in that area. Anyhow, but we were really pleased that we got this experience and wanted to share it with you. So if you enjoy these videos, please subscribe, hit like, leave a comment, and thank you for watching Wisconsin Places Are Cool.